Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for jumping in today. We have Cole here, the co-founder of FAWN Design, joining with us. How you doing today, Cole?
I'm doing good. Thanks, Taylor.
Awesome, man. Well, we're so pumped to have you. You guys have been just an amazing client that we've been able to work with over the last little bit. So kind of diving into this, as you were looking at different agencies, you've been in this game for a long time. What were some of the things that you were really looking for in an agency partner?
Yeah, like you said, we've gone through it all, right? We've been through, I think, like 2 or 3 different agencies. We had it then in-house, and then we went back to an agency, and now we're with you guys, and I think one of the biggest things, and it's something I told you when we first kind of had our conversations to kind of kick off this whole thing, was something that really hit home for us was you saying, hey, like, we know how to sell stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's which this is like so weird that, like, that's one of the first times I've like heard that from like an agent,
I love it, man.
which is like, I mean, which should be like objective number one, right?
Right.
But it's
Yeah.
always like, oh, well, we can do this with your ads, and we can do that, and we can do this with content and all this other stuff. And it's just like, I just want you to sell my stuff, like,
Totally, right?
I mean,
I
that's
love
the
that.
whole goal, right? Is to
Yeah.
like sell, to yeah, increase sales. So I mean, that's one of the things that I think attracted us to you and your company, kind of right out of the gate. So
I love that, man. I think it's so funny. Like, I get on the call with, hundreds of owners every single year, and it always blows my mind how many of their partners or agencies or even in their internal teams aren't trying to use ads to sell something, which
right.
is like, if the advertising campaigns you're delivering aren't bringing in net new customers, it's like, well, what's the point of spending that much cash? Because it's expensive, right? It's not free to advertise. And so you've got to get really specific and really honed in on that strategy.
Absolutely.
So you've had a chance to work with our team now for a couple months. What are some things that you've really appreciated about the experience?
Yeah, I think first and foremost is the communication, through Slack. We hear from you guys every day, and
That's amazing.
yeah, that's amazing, because before it's, like once a week, maybe, and
Ooh.
so I feel like a lot of things can kind of slip through the cracks, or,
Yeah.
when it's once a week, you kind of end up like kind of rehashing the same stuff over and over.
Yeah.
Where it's every day, it's like everyone's on the same page every day. So it's like, I feel like you can kind of, we can make a little bit more headway that way.
Yeah. And so why, like, besides being able to make more headway, how do you think that's changed the game for you? Like, that constant communication and feeling like you're in the loop?
Yeah, I mean, I think it just helps us, kind of focus on the things that are like driving the return on ads, right? So
Yeah.
if we, notice that there's like certain ads that are performing better as far as like the creative goes, we can then,
Yep.
maybe get some more of that type of creative scheduled out, so we can start pushing more of that type of creative in ads. So,
I love that.
and it can go a lot quicker when we're like, talking every day. So
Yeah. 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 You actually know what's going on. Have you noticed that? I know you and Jenny, like, you guys wear a lot of hats over there.
yeah,
Like, have you noticed that by having the team that you feel like you can really trust and is on it, has that opened up some headspace and some opportunity for you guys to tackle some other stuff in the business?
oh yeah, for sure, absolutely. I mean, yeah, having like a partner like you guys that we can trust with, like, almost kind of taking control of the whole,
Yeah.
ad side of the business, which is a huge piece of the business, right? Yeah, it really does, yeah, open up some more, like, I guess, like you said, like room, time, almost like comfort, and like, okay, now we can go tackle this and don't have to worry about what's going on in this, big beast of the ad world,
Yeah. Well, one of the things that we hear a lot from our founders that we're working with, that really get into a good rhythm with us, is that they feel like in the years past, they've had to manage the whole business and then also like deep dive manage the agency.
Yeah.
Where they're wearing like, so many hats and trying to tackle all this. And one of the things they've noticed when they work with us is because we communicate so much and because we're so transparent with everything, they feel like, oh, okay, got it. I can actually trust these guys. I can let them run the stuff. I'm obviously involved and what's going on and you're giving guidance, but it's not taking up more of that mental energy and more of that strain. And I think that was a big difference that a lot of people saw.
Yeah. And I think part of that too, like you said, comes from the communication. Also, like, when you guys are getting ready to run some ads, you send over the creative, you send over the copy, and you're like, is this good to go? Can we do this? And it's like, we look at it for 2 seconds, real quick. We're like, yeah, that's awesome. Go ahead. Where before it's like, just kind of, posting, running whatever ads, and we might not, be in stock of a certain thing, or we might not want to push that, or whatever the case may be. And we're like, whoa, and then, like you said, then that kind of, breeds a little bit of like concern to where, you feel like you have to manage it a little bit more. So.
Totally. Oh, that's awesome, man. I love to hear that. Well, what do you think? One of the big things that we talk a lot about over here is, creative and really creating ad sets and campaigns that connect with your customer. What's been your experience in that regard working with our team?
Yeah, again, it's been like, it's only been a few months, but I feel like the, kind of the biggest help for us was like you guys coming to us and asking, what are your best selling products? Let's create ads around that. And that's like, again, I mean, that should be like obvious to do, but a lot of times it's just not, in the past, we've run ads on, products where we might not have the best margin on, or it's a low price point item and it probably shouldn't have ads running on it and that type of thing, and, or we have like very few stock of it. Right. So with you guys, it's like, what do you guys have the most inventory in and what are your best sellers? Let's like push that, and that's like, that should be like just an obvious thing, but it like really, like a lot of times it just sometimes isn't, so that was like another benefit of like, because when you said that, it's like, oh, that makes sense. Like, yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, let's do that. I mean,
so,
you guys have such rad products, right? So like,
yeah, thank you.
And it's stuff that you guys have poured your heart and your soul into. You built this business from the ground up, and like, it's just been so fun leaning into that story a little bit more, and kind of, I feel like getting back to some of the roots of what made FAWN so special in the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. And kind of going back to your, your question though, is like, that's been able to like allow us to give you guys the creative asset that aligns with that. Right. So it's like, okay, we're, when we get new content, we're focusing on these best sellers, the content that we're sending over for you to put ads up, is content based around best sellers, so it's also helped us maybe get a little bit more like focused on the content that we're getting too.
Yeah. And that content is so key. And I think one of the things that you really expressed at the beginning when we started this partnership, we're like, man, I just wish we could get a little more feedback and guidance on what we need to create. Like, we can create anything. It's just, we need some help with that.
For sure. Yeah.
And has that been something that's made your guys' lives a little easier?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, yeah, just like I said, and it's, you guys are like, hey, this content for this ad is performing well. Like, let's try to get some more of that. And it's like, that's, that's pretty easy for us to do. It's just like, sometimes, like you said, we have so much other stuff going on. It's sometimes hard to like really like focus on, what will be the best as far as like, a return on ad spend or whatever. And so having someone be like, hey, no, this is what's working. Just give us more of this,
Totally.
like or, hey, like we want some more of this. It's like, that's easy for us to go and get. It's just the hard part is figuring out what content to get. And that's been a benefit for, for you guys kind of telling us what you guys need, so
for sure. Okay. I love that. I love that. One of the things that we focus on a lot is being more of a strategic partner. Like a lot of agencies just focus on, hey, we run the ads, and they don't look at like the backside of the business. Like you mentioned, bestsellers, some of the stuff that has deeper in inventory. And so one of the things that we really pride ourselves in is trying to look at the whole business holistically, right? Everything that's happening. And then we try to align the campaigns to really feed that beast.
Right.
Have you noticed a shift in your business as we've implemented that strategy for you?
Like that's kind of an interesting question, because I just don't know. Like, we hopped on board with you guys like, the 1st of October.
Yep.
And we hopped straight into like Black Friday,
Totally.
So like the whole month of November. So basically like half the time that we've been with you guys has been like kind of focused on kind of a single thing. So I am actually really excited kind of for the future, moving into like December and the new year, kind of getting a little bit more of that, strategic partnership, as far as like not just placing the ads. It's like you guys are, I'm really looking forward to like, hey, this is the strategies that we can put in place. Hey, let's try to get conversions on your website up, or the million things that we could probably work on to be better. And some of those things, again, we don't like, we just don't even have the time necessarily to like deep dive into, so having you guys as far as helping us on some of that stuff, as far as like, hey, this will help sales, like let's do this, I'm looking forward to that.
So that's a big part of what we do. And like you said, like we have been heads down just building out all of your Black Friday, Cyber Monday, holiday sales. And that's been really fun. Like it's been super fun to dive in with your team. And you guys are so talented in terms of the vision, the creative, the product. It really is a joy to work with you guys, because my team personally like loves your guys' energy and loves interacting with you. And are pretty passionate about helping you guys crack this code on like, how do we get new customers every week?
For sure.
So that's been a pretty fun journey.
Yeah. And that's important to us, right? Because it's like, it's kind of like the fad as far as maybe like the marketing world has been concerned, maybe the last like couple of years, is like, hey, returning customers. Returning customers. Like, but it's like, which I totally get. You have to capitalize on that too. But if that's where your focus is going, and you're not focusing on getting new customers even more, then it's like you kind of start to slowly die, So that's the other thing that we really liked about you guys, because before, our in-house team, it was like heavy returning customers.
Right.
Our last agency was kind of like, when we first talked, it was more like 50-50, and then you guys are like, hey, we're like, we're heavy, like 80% on trying to get new customers. We still want to take care of your, try to get these returning customers, because that's a big part of the business too. But without new customers, you don't have returning customers.
Well, and what totally, man. And I love that you hit on that point, because where a lot of people miss is their agencies start to push more and more towards these retargeting campaigns. And it's just not like an effective use of spend if you're doing like 50-50, or even like 40% prospecting, 60% retargeting, because you have emails, you have SMS, you have all these different non-paid ways to get in front of that customer.
Right.
Like we need to lean into those, because they're way more cost effective. And on the front end, when we do have those, really, really strategic marketing budgets, we need to use those to bring in as many new customers as possible. That's the lifeblood of any brand.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I
And I
love
think
that.
that's where, yeah, I think that's just where, we've kind of had a hard time. And I don't know, I mean, I think some of the people we've worked with in the past are like, hey, we want to get this like automated. So it's like, running like kind of by itself. And it's like, I get the idea behind that, but that's
Right.
like a terrible idea. Right.
Totally.
Like if it works good, then I'm like, yeah, freaking automate everything and like let it run and it's like crushing it. Great. But like most of the time it doesn't. Like
No.
I mean, you guys know like these ads are like they're very like delicate, it's like they need to, it's like, one of them could be pumping, and it's like you're like, if you're automating it, you're like, oh, that's great, let's just leave it alone. But then in a week it drops down, but you're
Totally.
still paying all this money towards it. And that's just like a waste,
Yes.
and that's kind of some of the pain points that we had found in the past. It's just like, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's good. I mean, our account rep from Focus Funnels is, Shannon. She's in there literally every day checking on, the ads and which ones are performing. And, when they start to dip, she starts pulling back budget, And the other thing too, that I do want to say that is, I feel like a really good strategy that you guys have had, which we really haven't had too much in the past, is kind of the incremental increase in ad spend when an ad is performing.
Yep.
Because before, we've had, it's like our team, had seen like an ad hit like a certain point, it's like, oh, this has a 6x return.
Yep.
So let's like double the spend on that. And they do, and it stays at a 6x, and they're like, oh crap.
Yeah.
Like we just doubled that. We just doubled that spend and got the same return.
Right.
Where like if they would have just bumped it up a little bit and it just stayed at a 6, they're like, okay, wait a minute, like maybe we don't need to do that, or whatever.
Totally.
So
no, there's a lot of strategy we bring to the table there for sure.
So that's like, I think that's a really good thing that's helped us. It's like just bump it up, and then it's, and then when it starts to dip, it's like you pull it back, which is nice, So
I love that. Yeah, you've got to be, I mean, that's one of our huge differentiators is our ability to sell stuff, our daily communication. And then the last piece is we're in the ad account every day, making the changes, making the optimizations, watching things. And that's how we're able to get those better results, is because we actually have our hand on the wheel and we're steering that boat in the right direction. And what we found is a lot of agencies sadly don't do that, and that's a big differentiator. So last question I got for you, Cole, is, what would be your advice to someone that is like looking into Focus Funnels and maybe is on the fence? Any thoughts you want to share with those people?
Yeah, I mean, I think like, just kind of understanding a little bit more of what you need,
Yeah.
And I would suggest that like, what you need is, again, new customers and having an agency that knows how to sell, and those are two big things, and that'll just, kind of keep you alive. And two, again, like, and I don't know, again, I just have my personal like experience with other agencies, I don't know, but like, I would assume that most people who are shopping around for like a new agency like Focus Funnels, is probably not happy with their current one. And that's, I'm like, and I can almost guarantee that like the big pain point that, kind of that I found over like several agencies, right, is just like not knowing what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of like the big one, right? It's just like, well, is it doing good? Is it not? I don't know. Like what ads are performing? I don't know, like that type of thing, which is like a benefit of, again, I guess that communication piece, and that's a big benefit for Focus Funnels, right? It's like, we talk to you guys every day, and I think that's actually pretty rare, like in the ad world,
Very rare. Yeah, for sure. Well,
so that's
Cole,
like a big, I mean, it's just that's like kind of, one of the biggest pieces is just that like communication. So
I love that. Well, that is definitely something that we work incredibly hard at. It's something that we're really focused on. So, Cole, thank you so much for sharing some thoughts and some of your experiences you've had working with our team. We really appreciate you guys, and we're looking forward to an amazing next year.
Yeah, same here. Absolutely. Thanks, Taylor.
All right. Cheers, buddy.
Okay, take care.